All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakal Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles, the great millstone that rule well, and peace and salutations to the elect of Israel. To you I say Shalom. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying to the flock of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai. It says here, 50 million people trapped in, quote, modern slavery. All right, and this number is actually way higher. It's really the mass majority of the people on the earth, except for the wicked elite, are trapped in so-called modern slavery, especially the ones of the sons of God, which are you Israelites, which consists of you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and also the ones scattered abroad that look like other nations. Right? You might look like a so-called white person, you might look like a so-called Chinese person, but you truly descend from the man Israel, which makes you an Israelite, because you are whatever your father is, man. All right. So it says 50 million people trapped in modern slavery, according to a report. So let me just scroll down to what is modern slavery. And it says, what is modern slavery? Walk Free describes modern slavery as covering a set of specific legal concepts, including forced labor, debt bondage, forced marriage, slavery, and slavery-like practices, and human trafficking. Right, but the points I wanted to focus on was including forced labor. All right, forced labor doesn't talk about like you literally have a gun to your head or a whip to your back and you're doing forced labor. Forced labor could include prison sentences where you're doing forced labor for pennies, which will make you a literal slave, man. All right. Also, things of like people like they don't have like the so-called green cards or visas, so-called immigrants, which really Jake isn't an immigrant in Babylon, but so-called immigrants where since they don't have their proper paperwork or birth certificate, how they get paid pennies or they can't survive, man. And the things, what the thing is too is including forced labor is also debt bondage. Debt bondage is where you got to pay off a debt in order, to basically you're only working to pay off debt, right? And that's the majority of Jake too, man. All right, Salakia. But let me jump over to the book of Proverbs, chapter 22. Proverbs 22:7. The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. All right, and this is what's going on, and this is why the majority of people are in so-called modern slavery, which we are put into captivity, man. All right, at the end of the day, the Lord said he will put us into captivity, and we're in captivity. This is slavery, man. This is hell. All right. So we're not slaves. We're gods, man. We're the name Israel goes back to he Prince Power. Right, we are literal sons of the power, man. We are literal princes of the power. All right, so we weren't created to be slaves. The earth was created for our sakes, but we were put into slavery for our disobedience and breaking our part of the covenant, man. All right. But Proverbs 22:7, the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. Right, and in this captivity, one thing that keeps us in this captivity is basically how the work that we do, right, just by debt bondage and induced labor, the work that we do, we get paid with it, not with money, but with currency, which is worthless, man. Right? When you have trillions upon trillions or something, it can't be as valuable as something that only has a few of it, man. All right. Actually, let me get that in the book of 2nd Esdras. 2nd Esdras 8:1, and he answered me, saying, the Most High hath made this world for many, but the world to come for few. I will tell thee a similitude, Esdras, as when thou askest the earth, it shall say unto thee, that it giveth much mold, whereof earthen vessels are made, but little dust of that gold cometh of. Even so, the course of this present world, there be many created, but few shall be saved. All right, and when you consider that, that's how much more salvation is valuable, man. Salvation is really invaluable, man. You can't put a price on salvation, man, right? Because it's not for everybody. That's what makes it so valuable. If it was for everybody, it wouldn't be as valuable as it is, man. Just like these Federal Reserve notes, aka the U.S. dollar, man. There's so much of it. All right, the U.S. alone has $33 trillion in debt. Right? You add on the cash that's flowing throughout society. There's so much of it. It's worthless, man. But that's how they keep you enslaved. They give you that, and what do? You do the work. Instead of getting paid with money, you get paid with currency. So you take that money, or you take that currency, and you buy things that are truly our money. You buy things like land. You buy things like agriculture and cattle. You buy things like natural resources, gold, silver, all right, diamonds, all right. Because if they try to offer you, if you weren't a slave, what they would do, they will pay you in land. They will pay you in cattle. This way you can survive off the land and things of that nature. You won't need to be dependent on a grid, right? But this is what modern slavery is, man. We're in captivity, man, and this shit is vexing, all right. But we deserve to be here because we went off, all right. But the Wada Yahweh Shem Yahshai, he's showing us that freedom is right around the corner, man. And what truly makes you free is wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, right? It's the book of John, chapter 8. John chapter 8. I'm going to start at verse 31. Then said Yahushua to those Jews which believed on him, if ye continue in my word, then ye are my disciples indeed. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Right? The biggest plantation in the world is the human mind, man. So many people are trapped. The majority of people, over 99%, are trapped in a mental captivity, man, without knowing that they're slaves. All right? So if you don't know that you're a slave, all right, that's the best kind of slave, because you'll never try to fight and acquire your freedom, man. You'll always be satisfied being an ant, a slave, man. All right? But when you know the truth, you put on a rulership, you put on a rulership type mentality. You put on God-like mentality, man. All right? John 8 and 33, they answered him, we be Abraham's seed, and we were never in bondage to any man. How sayest thou, ye shall be made free? Right? That's that mental captivity, man. All right? These people were in mental captivity. Talking about you were never in bondage. Right? Just because the yoke of iron isn't on your neck anymore doesn't mean you're not in bondage, man. All right? Try to do something without Esau's permission, man. See how far that gets you. Right? Because there's one Jake that came by the camp a couple months back. He looked at the camera and said, you're not slaves. If you want, you could open a restaurant and be successful. All right? Yeah, that's true. You can open a restaurant, but can you do it without Esau's permission? This makes you a slave. Can you open a restaurant without the proper tax documents? Can you open a restaurant without a proper insurance? And who runs the government to offer tax documents? Who runs insurance companies, man? It's the wicked, man. Esau, Edom, right? Can you run a restaurant without obtaining natural resources such as electricity and gas, and water, right? And who runs all of these things, man? You can't just do whatever you want, man. You are a slave, man. All right? But if you don't know that you are a slave, you'll never seek freedom, man. It just makes you the best kind of slave. John 8 and 34. Yahushua answered them, verily, verily, I say unto you, whosoever committeth sin is the servant of sin. All right? And also the majority of our people are servants of sin, man. They're cool with sin, right? They love their flesh ruling over them, man. This is why they'll never change their ways. They prefer the dark, man. They prefer a dark countenance. They prefer the quote. They prefer to be willfully ignorant, man, because they're a servant to sin, man. These people aren't free, man. But freedom is right around the corner, man. But our people. Let me go back to this article, Slovakia. There's something else I wanted to bring out. Oh yeah, so with debt bondage too, with the US dollars you get, the currency, the Federal Reserve notes, all right, and how it's worthless now. So what do? Now that you're stuck and you won't give up these Federal Reserve notes, you're gonna take the alternative, man. And once the U.S. dollar crashes, the alternative is gonna be released and mandated, which is the MOTB, right? The C hit, man. And if you take that, you're through, off rip, man. There's no more doors of mercy being opened unto you once you take that C hit, man. And this is why, again, salvation is so valuable, because the mass majority of people are going to take the C hit because they don't know that they're in captivity, man. All right? And this is proof that majority of people are servants to debt, man. It says living paycheck to paycheck statistics, 63% of U.S. consumers live paycheck to paycheck in November 2022. Right? Now, that's a lot of people. That's the mass majority of the Babylon, man. Because this is accounting minors, right? Because minors aren't considered consumers, man. These are people considered working class. So 63% of the working class are consumers. I mean, 63% of the working class are buying, are living paycheck to paycheck, man. All right. That's the mass majority of adults in Babylon, man. 1/3 of U.S. consumers say they aren't currently saving any money, and of this group, 60% don't have savings. 57% of Americans don't have enough in savings to cover a $1,000 emergency expense. 64 million Americans have debt in collections, right? And what does this mean? One paycheck away from crashing down, man. All right. So what are you gonna do in that day when the U.S. dollar is worthless, and they say, "Yo, we know you live paycheck to paycheck, but we're not giving you paychecks no more. We're gonna deposit this in the C hit, man. All right, and the RFID chip. We're gonna deposit your new currency in there. So if you don't have it or not, you're not gonna be able to buy and sell without it. All right. The mass majority of people are gonna take it, right? Because they're slaves, man. All right. Let me jump to the book of Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 2 and verse 14. Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? All right. Again, we are not slaves, but we are put into captivity. Right? But our people, the majority of our people, the mass majority of our people, put on a slave mindset by not realizing that they're in captivity, man. All right? And that's the best kind of slave mindset from the eyes of a slave master, man. That's the best, man. But this is where our people are mentally. All right? Let me get one more. I'm going to close out, Lord willing. This is the book of James chapter 2. I'm going to start from the top, but the point's at 6. James 2 and 1. My brethren, have not the faith of our Lord Yahushua, the Lord of glory, with respect of persons. Right? You can't be in the truth and have respect of persons, man. You can't be a biased judge, man. All right? 'Cause that's going off. Right? Esau is the biased judge, right? And that's a wicked rulership, man. That's a wicked ruler. Unjust balance is an abomination to the Lord, man. Roughly paraphrasing. James 2 and 2. For if there come unto you in assembly a man with a gold ring and goodly apparel, and there come in also a poor man in vile raiment, and ye have respect to him that weareth the gay clothing, and say unto him, sit thou here in a good place, and say to the poor, stand thou there, or sit here under my footstool, are ye not then partial in yourselves, and are ye become judges of evil thoughts? Yeah, so basically, if you see a man dressed up, designer clothing, gold jewelry, right, VVS diamonds, and you have respect to him, but you see another man in vile raiment, man, all right, bummy clothes, or holes in his shirt, right, mismatched shoes, and you have disrespect unto him, you're being a unjust judge, man. All right. Verse 5. Hearken, my beloved brethren, hath not Yahweh chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith, and heirs of the kingdom which he hath promised to them that love him? All right. Who is the poor of this world, man? Who are the poor? Who are the downtrodden in society? Who are the hated, right? Who are the ones locked in the prison houses? It's you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. So now on the flip side, if the Lord was a biased judge, if the Lord was a respecter of persons, and he's seen our people stuck, down bad, and he's seen Edomites, in their kingdom, in their glory, right? And he blessed them and cursed us, which in the end of the day he kind of did, but the promises are meant for us, so this curse is only temporary. But at the end of it, but if that was the case, that'll be unjust, man. You would say, hey, it's like Edges said, what other nation has kept our precepts like like Jacob, like Israel, man, roughly paraphrasing, man. All right, it will be unjust. All right, so we gotta have the same mindset when it comes to judgment and having no respect of persons, man, especially by their appearance. All right, James 2:6, this is the point. But ye have despised the poor, do not rich men oppress you and draw you before the judgment seats? Right. Who the ones doing the oppression today, man? Who the ones putting out these unjust laws, such as so-called anti-small hat hate speech, man? Who the ones passing these laws? It starts with Esau Edom, the wicked, man. All right, the so-called white man. All right, who's doing the oppressing then? Who's passing the laws? Who's building these prison houses to throw us in, man? All right, who's the majority of the labor force in Babylon, in America, man? Who the ones that are cutting the grass, being the janitors, right? The landscapers, all right? Who's the ones that aren't, the so-called farmers, but the ones picking the berries off the trees, man? All right? Who's the majority of these people, man? These people that's doing these jobs aren't passing these laws, aren't sending our children to war, man. All right? Are putting taxes on us, man. It's the wicked, man. And when you understand that you're in captivity, man. You want to get the fuck out, man, because we aren't made to live like this. All right? But it's the rich, man. Not saying that having money is wicked or evil, right? But it's the love of money. It's the things that you're willing to do to hold it and to maintain it, man. All right, to acquire it, man. All right, if you're willing to, hate your brother, right, then that the love of money makes it the root of all evil, man. But it's not having money itself, because many righteous men in the scriptures had money, right? But it's not like they said, oh, Solomon has $10 billion. No, what did they say? Solomon had gold, silver. Solomon had cattle. Solomon had ships, man. Right? Job had cattle. When it says Job was the greatest man in the East, Job, they listed how much cattle he had, man. How much lands he had, man. Not, oh, he had $500,000 or whatever. I'm just talking, That's what true money is, right? And with that, you could obtain sovereignty, right? If you got paid in lands and cattle, you won't need to depend on Esau Edom, right? But hey, our people are homeborn slaves now, man. They're spoiled, right? But the truth will make us free. But I'm gonna wrap it up with that. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Again, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles, the great millstone I rule well, and peace and salutations to the elect of Israel. Until next time, we'll say Shalom and a Baba Ball.